being around you guys so much, all you got, even when you win, you're always like, if. It's like, you guys live in if so much.
Oh, no doubt. That's all of gambling, right? IF, right at the top of the eye chart. Big I, big fucking F.
So to me, going in, try and get rid of one of the ifs. Put some money on the fucking chalk in these box scenarios. You're not being a chalk-eating pig. You'll throw balloons on the top, but don't fuck yourself before you begin.
Can you win in life when you're trying to protect your ass? That's really the question that you're asking yourself. See, the Derby is not really about a horse race. It's about life in general. It's about looking in the mirror and asking yourself, what kind of balls do you really have?
The Derby's not a horse race.
It's self-assessment time, people. It's coming up on Saturday.
It's about life.
6:30. See what kind of person you really are. Do you have the balls to lead out the chalk?
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Very pleasant. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz with you. And very happy to have you guys joining us here on the program. Did you ever get into this at all, Lubie? This happened to me the other night where I started tapping into some friend requests that I had that have been kind of hanging there in the wings on Facebook. And it was a fairly attractive looking woman, and I'm reluctant to just befriend anyone now because for the most part, it's usually somebody that's been hacked. I mean, why would anybody, wanting to be making my acquaintance, especially this attractive turned out to be 31-year-old woman, 5'9", blue eyes, well-built, well-endowed. I mean, what would have everything, the prototype of what's ruined my life for as far back as I can remember, right? So all of a sudden, you know how this goes. You befriend someone figuring it's really meaningless. It's just a number. It doesn't mean anything. Yeah. And sure enough, then you start getting messages from this person, inbox messages. Yeah. And they're essentially propositioning you or asking. This woman supposedly was from Alabama. And she keeps asking me questions. So I'm answering them honestly. She says, how old are you? I said, I'm approaching 73. She says, are you single, married, divorced? I said, married, very married. She says, do you date online? I said, no, I don't date at all. What are you fucking talking about?
Very married, and they said you date online.
And she just kept pressing this. I mean, as if we were going to get together or something. Now, what do you make of it? Is that even a real person, Lubie, or is that some robot that's just punching up responses? Yeah,
it's a bot. I mean, the fact that they kept asking is interesting because usually you go 2 or 3 deep and then they stop.
Yeah, they say, go fuck yourself, you old fart. What the hell? I mean, why would this woman be interested in me? Even if I was madly in love with her, just at first sight. I would have to advise her, saying, hey, listen, you're 31 years old. You're very attractive. You don't want to be with an old fart like me. I mean, I'm not Mick Jagger.
I was going to say.
I'm barely scraping it together. I'm working with Lubie every morning, hoping that we get paid off by the people at Caffeine TV for the thousands of viewers that we're generating, which all of a sudden we find out is not part of a deal that we thought was going to be very lucrative for us, although they're working on it. Which is, look how everybody's always working on our end of the money. Yeah, what is that?
I love that.
Is that the new world, Lubie? Are we relegated to having to deal with that, just being broke the rest of our lives, even though we're generating thousands for everybody else? What do you think?
That is always the response. So it's like, we're working on it. It's like,
working on it. Well, work on it faster.
What the fuck are you working on?
A lot of money going up in smoke if you're not calculating those figures in. That's the only place we're getting viewers. What are you talking about?
We're getting good viewers. It's not
substantial. Yeah, we would have made a fortune last week.
Like we're getting nice numbers. It's like, what do you mean?
I plugged in just one that was up there for a couple hours. It was already up to like 15,000 views.
Like, what is there to work on? It's just funny that's always the stock answer.
Who are these people that we're dealing with, Lubie? I mean,
whatever.
It's amazing. Anyway, I mean, the likelihood, though, that any 31-year-old babe was going to be interested in pursuing me when I live in another state. But I guess, are you just walking into a trap there where you start answering personal questions?
Yes.
And now they have all the details? I mean, I'm surprised that this woman, which I'm assuming it wasn't really a woman.
It's a bot. They take all the information they can from you, and then they try to fucking rob you.
Yeah.
Don't respond. Leave it alone.
Well, there was no information that wasn't actually readily available there on my Facebook page. And I mean, it shows that I'm married. It shows that I'm it doesn't show my age, but
no, it's fine.
That I live in Florida. I mean, that was stuff that's readily available. I would imagine
give away information. People will fall into traps and think they've met someone and get fished. So just, yeah, that's a
No,
fucking.
I eventually cut it off. Yeah, it was getting to be too personal. Yes.
that's what happens.
Do people really believe? I mean, I remember Larry the Leaper. He actually believed that like various celebrities were responding to him when he said something on their Facebook threads that, oh yeah, did you see that? Olivia Colpo, just responded to me. It's like I'm sure that this woman is thinking, hey, Christian McCaffrey, he's never going to make it. Why don't I see if I can't get a date with Larry the fucking Leaper?
Exactly. Yes, people do believe it. It's sad. I feel for them. Leave it alone.
All
It's not one of any worth. I just love that I didn't realize it's still happening because no one does it to me anymore. So that's funny that it still happens.
Well, especially when your answers are so obviously, negative in terms of what any person would want if they were meeting a new. Yeah, I mean, who wants to, tap into a married man who's old enough to be your grandfather? I mean,
if you have money, they love that. There are plenty of women that are like,
well, if I had money, I probably wouldn't be, responding to this woman on Facebook.
You'd be doing your thing. Exactly.
No, well, then look at Bob Kraft. He has plenty of money. He's at that fucking Asian spa. That was ridiculous. All right, now let me run this by you, Lubie, just to see what you think, because we were talking about this on our morning briefing show there on Caffeine TV, the aforementioned morning briefing, which is doing very well. We're happy about that, but come on, guys. What do you mean these numbers don't count? What is this, exhibition season?
That's the best. Our whole lives, we were waiting for numbers. They would told us, don't worry about the numbers. Then, of course, the numbers do matter. We finally now have numbers and like, don't worry about the numbers.
Yeah, numbers. These numbers don't count. They're the ones that would be making you tons of money. We're going to win in the end, Louis. I can assure you. I feel pretty confident about that now. Approaching 73, for God's sake. The WNBA season tips off Tuesday. Caitlin's debut stays under is the headline. This is Action Sports top play. Michael Arinze has come into focus. He's probably their WNBA handicapper, which would have been about as useless a skill as you could possess.
Yeah, exactly.
If you were a WNBA. Although, I mean, maybe there are people that are making it just cleaning up. You can't laugh at anything that people are betting on if they're successful betting on it.
Look, the first time he brought it up, we laughed just because I had never heard of the sport.
Yeah.
But when Ken was killing Aussie rules football, we're like, hey, fuck it. If you're making money on, who gives a shit?
What do you care? Yeah.
If you're betting on frogs jumping down the street, if you keep kicking ass.
Would you rather win the fourth race at Beulah Park and make a score, or lose all your money betting the Preakness? I don't care that these horses are pigs. It doesn't matter to me. Exactly. All right, so here's the logic, Libby. I know you love these, and I do too. I mean, always brilliantly written and well thought out, and usually ending up in the losers column. The WNBA season tips off Tuesday with 4 games, headlined by the much-anticipated Caitlin Clark debut as Indiana visits Connecticut. The addition of Clark should improve the Fever's perimeter game, but you can be sure opposing teams will make a concerted effort to slow her down. In other words, somebody's going to sock her in the fucking face. No, they can't do that. It's probably, you think there are already rules in place, implemented?
Like some Gretzky shit where it's like, leave her the fuck alone.
You touched this woman, see? Even the NHL has gotten away from that, right? Did you see what they were doing? They were roughing up like Connor McDavid after the game the other day. Yeah, they don't care. Edmonton, go fuck yourself. Yep. In 2 preseason games, Clark shot 7 for 22, 31.8% on her threes, and she'll be up against a Sun team that ranked first in opponent three-point percentage last season and second in opponent three-point field goals. Okay,
this is like some fucking Mark Lawrence shit.
I'm telling you, man, they really get into this. I mean, who even knew there were analytics that went that deep on the fucking WNBA? It's a bunch of girls. No, I don't want to say that. A bunch of girls running around looking like a rugby scrum. It really is.
I'm glad you said it, because in my head I was like, it's just women playing. Who cares?
Analytics on this are insane. The Sun are also going through a transition in the backcourt after they traded Natisha Heidemann to Minnesota. Did you notice that deal in the transactions?
I missed it.
Probably. I mean, I'm surprised Jim Sarney didn't say, why didn't we comment on this deal? And Tiffany Hayes retired. I didn't know that. Did you? Did you know that Tiffany Hayes retired?
I don't know who Tiffany.
Who the fuck is Tiffany Hayes? So that would be the next question.
I don't know that name.
And the Sun had just 1 preseason game, which might not be enough when trying to gel as a new unit. Why did they only have one preseason game, Louis?
How many do they normally have? If they have more than one?
I don't know. It looked like Clark had two. Look for Connecticut to be rusty right out of the gate,
Oh, Jesus.
while having to rely on its defense. With Clark's games likely to draw plenty of attention, there's a tendency for sports books to inflate some of their lines. The total opened at 170 and a hook, and the highest total in a Sun game last season, how about this, Louis, was 168 and a half. That's some pretty good research. All right, so he's saying go ahead and unload on the under in the Fever Sun game in spite of the debut and the spectacular and what will draw tremendous attention all around the world. It'll probably be like the lead thing on SportsCenter. Caitlin Clark's debut as a professional athlete after she essentially was a professional athlete.
I mean, look, you have playoffs, so I don't know if it'll be lead, but they're going to force it in there. This is going to get a lot more attention than any WNBA would get at this time of the year for sure. I don't even know if they talk about WNBA at this time of the year when you're in the second round of both the NHL and the NBA playoffs. But they're going to talk about this. They're definitely going to talk about this, and they're hoping to God she has a good game because then it makes it even more interesting. I think it's funny that they get into that much detail. I mean, yeah, I guess, look, the sport is played, so why wouldn't someone be categorizing it like this? I've never heard anyone ever talk about WNBA like that, even people who like it. That was very detailed.
Who would have known any of that? I wouldn't have. Were you aware of this big deal? I didn't even know the name of the team in Connecticut was the Sun. Did you? I would have figured Las Vegas was the Sun after the old newspaper. Mayo saying I got fished by this a phony person. No,
you didn't get fished. You didn't.
I didn't. I mean, I gave out no information other than the fact that I was married and 72 years old, which most people could have found out probably pretty easily just by hitting the Google button. No,
you've asked me this, and he's like, he's getting senior. I'm like, no, he's asked me about this since I met him, and I met him when he was in his 50s. If a hot chick talks to you, every guy's first reaction, no matter how insane it has to seem,
it's impossible, right?
Every guy, and look, if you're married, you're scared. If you're married and you are in a marriage where you don't want it to fall apart, you're like, fuck, don't respond to this. But most guys, even those guys, the first reaction is like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Even down deep when you know this is bullshit.
You're curious to see if it's a real person and why this person would be so desperate as to reach out to me.
Look, even paranoid people, Mayo can say whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you even respond to her and let her know this reaction.
Yeah.
I'm saying you see a picture, there are words, hey, the first thing you think is, oh, now.
She sent me a separate picture, whoever this was, supposedly, and I have to say it was rather appealing.
Yes. The first response is always in your head. That's interesting. Yeah. But again, like you were smart. You didn't do anything weird, whatever. Look, I wouldn't have even engaged. You do what you want, but you didn't give her anything. You didn't say, oh, well, here's my Social Security.
Here's the last 4 digits. Yeah. Maybe you can do something with my driver's license. Would you like to see that too?
That's getting fished. You just having a conversation is what it's. A lot of people I know do it on purpose, try to test the bot and fuck with it. Like Shirley does that. Like when she'll have telemarketers call, I just hang up. Shirley will actually engage them to fuck with them. You know,
yeah.
So,
I don't feel like wasting my time with that. I don't even know why. I was curious to see what this was, and I'm thinking almost all of these friend requests that come from people that are recent probably are accounts that have been hacked. So the minute that you respond, you don't know what to do anymore, right? One of your good friends has a picture up there, and you're thinking, do I befriend this person? And you're asking yourself, well, what the fuck? It's a shame that you have to be so paranoid about something being up and suspicious about virtually everything that happens. But I mean, I naturally would be suspect of.
Yes, there was a bot.
Some hot 31-year-old babe from Alabama, all of a sudden, not even caring that I told her I was married, but continuing to ask if I was interested in dating her while she's living in Alabama.
That's when you know it's a bot. When you ask us, they're like, "How are you today?" And you're like, "I'm good." They're like, "What do you do?" And you say your job, and then they're like, "It's always good to go to the beach." Okay.
She wasn't impressed with the idea that I was a sports announcer. That's for sure. Which I would have recommended that she run also. But all right. Well, hopefully nothing negative will happen as a result of my 4 responses to this
It'll
woman
be
who doesn't actually exist. I would imagine. What are you talking to? Some guy in China?
Well, that's the thing is, Andy, it's not even that anymore. It's literally a bot. Like they just set up like a system.
Yeah.
Just reaches out to as many
You could
people
tell
as
by the
possible.
responses that this wasn't
Yes.
coming from an actual person because they were too redundant.
They've got it better where at least they'll keep responding. They used to just do one thing, you'd respond.
Yeah.
I would actually go, "I'm fine. How are you?"
Yeah. No, it's
And
crazy.
You wouldn't hear back.
I
Now
must have
the
been stoned when I was doing this. Yeah.
Well,
'cause,
AI is insane now too. So they've gotten it to where they'll try and have a conversation with you, but eventually it's going to be like that. That was non sequitur. Like that had nothing to do with what the fuck I said.
yeah, I'm thinking if this person still has interest in pursuing me as a dating entity, then
Brian asked if you were part of Dateline NBC.
could be. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's probably a guy. I don't even
Those
know.
are my favorite shows. I
Yeah.
used to love that show.
Oh, when a guy gets nailed for
Come
fighting
with
some
candy
13-year-old over in the house. What was the name of the guy? Chris Hansen? Was that the guy's name?
No, I'm trying to remember the fucking was it Hanson? Maybe it was Hanson.
Was it Hansen? I'm not
He
sure.
was great. Those were great. Those were the best.
I mean, it's sad, really, when you think about it, that
No,
this
it's
is what's
sick.
going on in people's minds.
It's sick.
And that they're spending their day planning. I mean, you're planning it around where you guys are eating on the lunchbox, and these other people are trying to ensnare, unsuspecting teenagers into negative situations. No, it's such ugliness. All right, so what's happening? I have my New York Post. They didn't have the result yet in the Bulldog edition here of the Rangers game last night against Carolina. Do you sense that there's reason? I know Mike Mayo was wearing his Rangers jersey, which fit him a lot better. I thought. I don't know. Is he using filters now on his pictures that he's taken of himself? Because he looked a lot thinner. He really did.
It looked like it went on easier. I remember it used to be
That thing was stretched, man.
It was
last time
sort
I saw
of
him.
big.
Yeah.
Then it got to the point where it was very tight. When you
It looked like he had swallowed a basketball when he was wearing that shirt. It was not a flattering, look.
When you
for
wore it
Mike Mayo.
yesterday, it wasn't that tight though. It looked
No.
like it was okay. He
Looked
was
good. I mean, he almost looked like Roger Barrett, a kid.
It said fine. I think it was a curse for the Rangers. They were up 1-0 at the time.
This shit happens though in the NHL.
Oh,
Teams come back from 3-0 deficits. Teams get blown out. They turn the thing around. Even if you look at the Panther series, tell me there wasn't some reason to be a little bit nervous after that blowout in game number 1 on their home ice, where it looked like they were badly unprepared to take on the Boston Bruins, who you would have to think they were going to be on their toes against, since there was bad blood between the two teams when they knocked them out in the first round last year.
Yep.
I don't know what I'm missing here, Lubie. I'm not at all concerned about tonight's game. Yes, of course, the Panthers could lose. Anything's possible in the NHL or any playoff situation for that matter. We've seen bizarre results in both the NBA and the NHL, and wild, improbable, incalculable turnarounds. But I'm not as worried about the Panthers series. I think they're going to win that series because I actually think, Lubie, here you go. Here's your kiss of death statement and proclamation of the day. And this isn't because we live here or follow the team or we have more knowledge. It appears they are playing the best of any team that's left in the postseason so far. What do you think? I mean, it's hard to gauge. When you're watching these Western series, they seem to be more high scoring. It was 5-1 last night. Looks like the Dallas Stars have Colorado by the jugular. You're looking at Vancouver and Edmonton in the West, and that's at 2-1 Vancouver. They're playing very well. The other series in the Eastern Conference, you're thinking, okay, no matter who comes out of that, the Rangers,
Hurricanes. Well, the Rangers,
and the Hurricanes. Yeah, I mean, whoever comes out of that, I think the Panthers, match up well against either of those teams, and probably are a little bit better. No.
Well, look, the Panthers in all of these games have let in shots. Like they've been the aggressor in these games. So
they've been hustling. They've been fast. I mean, hustling. Well,
look, defenses, it hasn't been too bad. That one game, they in the middle of the second period, they just lost their shit, and then the Bruins just punched them in the mouth. But it wasn't like the whole game they were annihilating them. And then the next 3 games, even if they came back from a goal, they were in control of the game. It's just Bobrovsky scares it. And Bobrovsky's playing well. It's just the goals he gives up are so stupid that it's like they were in control of that game from the beginning of that game, and they were down 2-0. And it was like, how even the announcers were like, it's funny. It sounded like that Stephen Ross fucking clip that I play where, except for the field, we're the greatest. It was like, outside of the score, the Panthers should be happy. I'm like, but I think the score is what matters. I feel like to get a W at the end of the game, the score is literally the only thing that matters with the big W. So I'm like, can you? Like, you played well, you're down to nothing. Now, again, in hockey, like soccer, eventually it comes around. You being the aggressor, you keep being the aggressor, you're going to get, I don't give a shit how good Swayman is. You keep getting shots on net, you keep going at the net, you're going to get goals. And that's what we saw. Fine. But it's still, for one game, if they get 2 goals early and the Panthers hit a brick wall and don't get the help from the refs and don't get the power plays that they've actually finally started cashing in on, you can see the Bruins stealing a game. So that I don't know if they're going to win the series, the Bruins, but it's hard for me to just say it's done, because this is a team.
I mean, to declare it over probably is a little premature evaluation, but on balance, I'm just saying, and I watched quite a bit of the other series, and it's very hard to make the equation and say, oh, well, geez, the way this team is playing, there's no way they'll do well against the Panthers. But the Panthers seem to be playing with a certain confidence and unity that really makes you believe that they have it together this year. Yes. And they're in better shape than they were last year because they started to fall apart a little bit. They were feeling the effects of it physically by the third round, certainly. Yeah. And so far, so good. I mean, in terms of having everybody available to them and playing in what looks to be close to 100% physically. I think very much solid chance. I believe they may have become the favorite to win the Stanley Cup now. I mean, in terms of current odds.
Look, the Hurricanes were, and they're in a dogfight. The Rangers have had their struggles. The Panthers.
The Rangers have been great. I mean, they were 7-0 going into that loss.
They lost the last 2.
Yeah,
people don't look at that as you're hot right now if you lost the last 2. The Panthers have been metronomic. They've been very consistent. Even the games they've lost, they were in it for a lot of that game. They haven't come out totally shell-shocked like we've seen in the past. Maurice has them under control. He doesn't let them get too high or too low.
French Joe Philbin, I mean, turned out to be one of the worst,
He's a good coach.
Worst tags we've ever put on a guy.
Yeah, he's not that.
Guy's great.
He's great. They were down 2-0, and they just kept.
I love his approach, though. I mean, he just looks like a real wise ass, like a typical, hockey hard-on that really. When all these fights came up, and they were, Kachuk came flying over the boards there. You think a coach, well, he's really got to show some discipline. No, he's saying, I'm glad he beat the shit out of Pasternak. Go fuck him.
He loved it.
That was great.
He loved it.
We can't tap into some of Mayo's sources, Reno Sorbonne or something to get tickets for tonight's game. That would be kind of fun, wouldn't it?
That would be amazing. We're going to see him Thursday. I don't know. I don't know how we do that. He goes to a box. Roberto Luongo's in a fucking box.
Roberto says, "Hey, brother-in-law, come on in."
You can't.
Did you bring any of that bolognese with you?
I would love it. I don't even need the fucking bolognese. It would be cool to. We haven't been to a Panther playoff game.
I haven't been. Haven't been in a long time since that game. I think against the Devils, right?
That's the last one for me. I went with, or maybe it was Shirley. We went to one, and I think that was more recent than that game. But it's been a long time. It's been good 5 years. I mean, it's been a while. I love it. I don't know how we angle for that.
All right, what's wrong with this picture, man? How are the Knicks laying 2.5 against the Pacers tonight? Knicks at home laying 2.5 against the Pacers. Now those lines were like 4.5, 5 for Knick home games against the Pacers prior to this. They did win the 2 games there, widely aided by some bizarre officiating. They come back and they lose a tight ball game in Game 3, and then get blown out, annihilated, exposed in Game 4. You would have to think the Pacers are riding a wave of momentum that might carry all the way into Madison Square Garden and give them an edge in this game, and yet they're getting 2.5 points. What is wrong with that picture? We'll talk about that when we come back here on the Defo show.
I thought Anunoby's out. When did they say Anunoby's playing? Is Anunoby playing?
No, I don't think so.
No, Andy thinks he's playing. All I've heard is that he's not playing. I mean, the dude has a hamstring strain.
I'm not sure that I saw anything pertaining to him coming back. I believe I saw something saying that he was out, but if he's not,
he's out for Game 5.
Yeah,
this is Game 5, right? He's out. He's
Game 5 coming up. Yeah, it's 2-2.
He's not playing the series. The guy's first of all, the guy's always hurt, and it's a hamstring. Like you're not coming back as an athlete. He's not some stiff where the cuckoos nest him and go, just stand there. Like he covers the wings. Like
I can't imagine he returns for the series, right, with a hamstring injury if it's of any significance whatsoever, because even if it's slight, the chance of aggravating that is humongous if you're running around at NBA
more
speed.
likely to take weeks. This literally came out yesterday. Why OG Anunoby's hamstring recovery more likely to take weeks, not days. He's in playoffs. I mean, he's out for the playoffs. I mean, you
can't do it, right? You think the hamstring is healed up. It's kind of like this Achilles thing. You think it's okay, and then boom, first step out of the chute. There it goes again. I've had a couple of hamstring pulls. You ever pull a hamstring badly, Lubie?
Never, not bad. I've pulled it where it's annoying, but I've never pulled it where like it doesn't recover. I can't even imagine.
The complete rip job is a long recovery, and 6 months later, you go out and you start taking a couple of running steps, and it's like, look, I don't want to deal with this anymore. All right, we're going to come back with more here on the Defo Show. Lubie's saying Knicks. You're leading Knicks, I believe, laying 2 and a hook.
I just don't. The way the refs have officiated Brunson and Hart at home compared.
I don't think the officials can get away with this. Another time.
Look, I'm not even trying to be conspiracy guy. I don't care. I've just watched the games and I watched Jalen Brunson shoot 16 free throws as opposed to like 8 to 10. It's different. So I don't know why that would change now. OG Anunoby had nothing to do with that. Like if Brunson does the flop thing in Madison Square Garden, he gets calls. He does the flop thing in Indiana, he doesn't. That's what I've seen. The same thing. The Garden flop calls. Philadelphia, not so much. So that's just what it's been all playoffs. To me, it's why would that change? Like, why would that change now? OG Anunoby has nothing to do with what the refs do with Jalen Brunson's fucking bullshit style of play. So to me, if he's getting those calls, the crowd gets into it, the team gets into it, they hang around at home, they'll probably win. That's my train of thought.
2 heavy favorites in the NHL tonight. The Panthers are 2-1 favorites over the Boston Bruins on the money line, and the Oilers are also 2-1 favorites over the Canucks at home on the money line. So heavy favoritism there. The Nuggets only laying 4.5 against the Timberwolves. That seems like an odd number because I would imagine everybody came to the same conclusion that after taking the 2 games in Minnesota when it was looking like they were on the ropes and I was ready to predict the Nuggets were going to get knocked out of the playoffs in 5 games by the Minnesota Timberwolves. And instead, they turned the whole thing around. They're in there at 2-2. And with a chance to go up 3-2 tonight, a pivotal game 5 as always, and only laying 4.5 points. They're daring you, Lubie. They're daring you to go ahead and take the Nuggets in this game, and they're saying, "Hey, 4.5." The bookies seem to be all in a conspiracy to get you to be drained of your money by thinking that the Nuggets were vastly superior to the Timberwolves. That would seem to be the case after they rented the ship. If you saw the first 2 games, which we did, you would have thought they were done. Last 2 games, you're asking yourself, what the hell was the big deal about the Timberwolves? And they seem to have gotten a little bit under their skin, right? Edwards is, making all kinds of comments. And I like his approach, but at the same time, I'm not sure that that's advisable, right? To be taunting the Denver Nuggets after losing 2 games at home.
That was stupid. Oh, he's doing it now? Oh, I thought he was.
Yeah, no, he was. He was yelling at Jamal Murray after the game. Yeah. This is nothing. It's a series.
It's not.
Not sure exactly what he said, but I don't think it was a particularly flattering description about how much he enjoyed playing against him.
That's dumb. They had the series, and now you're right. Now it's a series, and you did not want that. Denver's the best team in basketball, and you woke them the fuck up. That was dumb.
Some of those Jokic passes, man, are just incredible. They really are. I mean, his ability to do these touch passes, no look, and find a guy under the basket, pretty amazing. They get the ball to him sort of not in a high post, but midway between what would normally be the high and low post, right around the midway point between the foul line and the basket, and just zip, no look. Finds guys for layups consistently. Just an amazing display. I tell you what, who was great last night in spots, although they ended up losing. Kyrie Irving only had 9 points and I believe like 1 rebound in the game last night.
Yeah, like what was it?
But man, these passes he was making were incredible. He ended up with 9 assists, but all of them were just incredible passes right at the basket for dunks. Looked great, but they would need a little more punch from him, no? If they're going to prevail, especially when Doncic only has 18 points.
It was so close. That's what's funny is Irving did not. This PJ Washington, who I barely knew he was in the NBA. He's become like a huge part of their team and saving their ass. he outplayed Irving last night. Like Irving can't have 9, and he'd been playing well, and people.
He wasn't taking a lot of shots though. From I didn't see the end of the game, but
I didn't
he really wasn't being very aggressive. He had a little Bam Adebayo syndrome,
that's
you
weird.
would call it, right? Where it wasn't like he had like wide open shots that he was passing up. He just he was choosing instead to dish off these incredible passes. And I have to say, I mean, if you were looking for a highlight reel of passing, this was everything that you would expect from Steve Nash, from Ernie D, from any of the guys that were great at passing the basketball during their career, and exhibiting this while. How is it possible that we hear nothing about Kyrie Irving being an asshole anymore? Nothing. He's not distributing copies of Mein Kampf courtside anymore. Wearing like a Das Boot shirt. Fucking asshole of a human being, but Jesus.
Someone got to him, like either age. I'm sure he has kids by now. Being an adult, whatever has got something happened because it's night and day. Like it's so funny.
Yeah.
People are trying to compliment him, and I wanted to criticize him, and then I thought, I'm like, wait, that's true. I haven't heard anything. I didn't even know he was still playing, so he must be quiet.
He's as quiet and respectful as Mike Conley would be.
Yes.
Right? A guy that never has been immersed in any controversy in his lifetime, going all the way back to his days at Ohio State. All right, we're going to come back with more here on the Defo Show. Be with you till 9 o'clock. Appreciate all the comments on the chat line. It's always good to hear from Andy because it's good to know that Andy's with us. And, you know, he left the hospital and they had his condition as day to day.
Oh, Jesus.
Unbelievable.
Oh, Jesus.
Didn't even have a temperature, nothing. Just said day to day. Back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
But as Joe Rose once said, we're all day to day.
I was going to say, I think we're all day.
It's 8:38.
Here, let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Are we all in stable but critical condition? Is that the way all life is, Lubie? In a general, more figurative sense? Would you say you're in stable but critical condition? I believe you are right now.
Probably.
On the threshold of getting married in the early portion of 2021. Don't you think it's a little soon, kid? You barely notice women. What are you doing?
We've been together 4 years.
Well, I guess you know enough.
How longer do you want her to put up with me?
Is it you that's pushing for this?
It's equal. We're both very happy and in love. It's very gross.
Oh, my God. I mean, it's a foreign concept. You have to understand where I'm coming from. 0 for 2 with a walk. And, you know, right now I think I got a 3-2 count in the marriage number 3. But, and only because of the benefit of a really poor call on a ball that was clearly right down the middle of the plate. You know, one of those Angel Hernandez calls. Get out of here.
Enjoy your trip to work with lots of laughs thanks to Defo and Lubie. Now on the Defo Show.
All right, a couple of things coming up. I know we've been immersed in NBA, NHL conversation here. The playoffs have delivered lots of entertainment, and it's always good to see doubleheaders going in both sports every night. Now you add in, I don't know, will you tune into this? You almost have to at least stop on it for a second, huh? This WNBA fiasco with Caitlin Clark. When would you ever have thought that you would consider that it was an important opening night between the Sun and the Fever in the WNBA? If you didn't, I mean, it would be very possible that you wouldn't even know what league you were talking about. If you just said, hey, we got the Connecticut Sun against the Indiana Fever. What are we talking about? Indoor lacrosse? I don't know.
Yeah, the Sun. The only reason I would have got it was because I thought maybe they're the Phoenix women's team. If you're telling me the Sun's in Connecticut,
How much? I mean, is Connecticut known for an extensive amount of sunshine exposure? I don't think so.
if you're telling me, and I got to see the full name, Connecticut Sun, Indiana Fever, I for sure would think it's Arena Football League. I would never have thought
exactly. Yeah,
sport. That sounds like that. Or remember they used to have the overseas football with the weird ass fucking.
Oh yeah, World League of American Football.
And they used to have some weird ass names.
Barcelona. What was the team in Germany? They had the neon uniforms.
Frankfurt, some shit. I know they would always have a weird ass nickname. So that's if I saw Sun versus Fever, I would be like, "What the fuck, Arena?
What is that?" Yeah, I don't know. But people will be paying attention. I'm going to be zeroing in a little bit on the PGA. I tried to fill out my my pool entries yesterday. I was going against the grain. I no longer will pick either Justin Thomas or Jordan Spieth to win anything. I think both of those guys are finished. No.
Yeah, that sucks that they both sort of fallen off immensely.
Yeah, who would you take? I mean, would you take McIlroy in this one over Brooks Koepka? That was an interesting debate.
Oh, they're in the same thing. Oh, that's
John Rahm, McIlroy, and Koepka all on the same list. You have to take one.
Take Koepka,
and then there are other considerations there that who knows? I mean, maybe some schmank that you never heard of comes out and has a big round. And next thing you know, you're in contention, and the other guys are. McIlroy coming off this win, is that a good omen or is that a negative aspect?
It's a good omen, but the fact that he hasn't won a major in 10 years isn't good. Koepka is the opposite. Koepka can
Mr. Majors, yeah,
and then magically finds his game in the majors. So like it's not the FSU thing. And he's playing well now too. So he's woke up like.
But the last two majors, this was a theory that was thrown out there about the live golfers because they play so infrequently in tournament golf. And they only play 3 rounds when they play. Well, we've seen a lot of these guys fade into Mike Tyson territory, Bolivian, during the last couple of rounds. That they'll make the cut and then start unraveling. That happened to Koepka. Now, Koepka normally with his mentality, I mean, the guy, if he's not coked up, even if he is, I guess it would be better if we knew that he had been delivered a kilo of cocaine. But what would you think? I mean, if you had to... Those would be the 3 primary choices on this one list in the 7 columns.
I'd say Koepka. I really would. McIlroy is probably going to end up being the best.
McIlroy always is a negative for me. Every time I've used him, he just shits a brick. Yeah.
I would say or Rahm is sort of being forgotten now, so maybe he comes out.
Rahm didn't impress me. I mean, his Masters play was not exactly the kind of thing that makes you think he's ready to bust out and win the PGA at Valhalla, which is that a particularly long course? I remember Valhalla's in Louisville, Kentucky.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with that.
Louisville, Kentucky. I'm not sure. I don't know. Mayo might have played the course
Mayo's
there.
played golf everywhere. Maybe Mayo.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know. Yeah, I don't. I think Valhalla makes you think like Michigan or Minnesota. Why is Valhalla in Louisville? I didn't even know they had
Schnellenberger named the course. I don't know when he was there. I think we're going to call it Valhalla. He probably didn't know what he was saying. He was probably, trying to name it something else, and they just, I think he said Valhalla. Okay, that's what we'll go with. Is there a town there or nearby that's called Valhalla? I don't know. But nonetheless, okay, so Scotty Scheffler, who's won everything, and every tournament he's in, you have to consider him, the foremost contender. Yeah. It's only 3-1. I don't know that I've ever seen odds this low. Maybe Tiger Woods was like 2-1 or lower.
Tiger would be like
in his prime.
Yes. Like he would get ridiculous odds at the end when he was in his like.
Was he odds on to win tournaments like 4-5, 3-5, stuff like that?
I feel like he was. I feel like there were times where it was like he was expected to win almost.
Okay, so the odds are prohibitive on any of the major favorites that you would normally immediately go to, and that would be what I wrote them down here somewhere. That Scheffler was like 3-1. Rory, I believe, was 6-1, something like that. And you were getting the guy that was targeted by one Paul Massell, the king of the futures, who gave us the last place finisher in the Derby this year. So maybe he's
he lost it.
Have you lost it? Was Joaquin Niemann.
Oh,
People, wise guys always throw this guy in there. Well, Joaquin Niemann, and he's 25-1. Do I have the balls to go ahead and bet on Joaquin Niemann? What do you think?
I mean, look, if he hangs around, it'll give you a lot of fun over the weekend. I don't know if he's winning.
Koepka's 10-1. Rory's 6-1. Tiger's 125-1. There'll be money spent on him.
There'll be a lot of money spent.
125 to 1, Tiger Woods.
Again, I don't think he gets out of the goddamn cut. That's my problem with him, where he is at his career. Like by Friday, he starts to slow down.
It starts to get to him. Yeah, he's there early too. I mean, he's
Yeah,
already working on it.
The Thursday, I was like, shit, I guess I'm wrong. And then he sucked Friday. I was like, there it is.
Here it is. I was right about this guy. He's finished. He's washed up. Joaquin Neiman, 25 to 1. Do we pull 20 out of our pocket and bet that to try and get back 500? What do you think, Lubie?
Maybe. I mean, look, no one else seems resounding. It'll probably be Scheffler, but again, like Ken says,
I'm tired of Scheffler already. You know what he is? Go ahead.
You can't bet on him. I mean, the chalk's so ridiculous. Like you can't bet on him. What are you going to do with that? In a golf tournament?
You can't take 3 to 1 on him. I don't care how much you think that he's going to dominate the field. It's too arbitrary, the results. No, yeah, the guy's great. He hits the ball right down the fucking middle. He never makes a mistake with his irons, and he's putting, magnificently, well enough to win all of these tournaments. He's dominated the tour this year. He runs away and wins virtually every tournament that he's entered in. And yet, you just can't take 3 to 1 on this thing. If you're going to bet golf and you're taking 3 to 1, you're going to end up broke.
Yep.
No time flat. You have to make one of those Martin Keimer type of scores, and that makes you good for a long period of time. Because that 45 to 1 was nice, right? I think I had $20 on that for 900. That gives you an opportunity to lose like another 45 tournaments before you're even again.
Honestly,
which I think I've done. I don't think I've hit one since Keimer, and that was like 20 years ago. It seems like, Lubie. Unbelievable. So that's going on this week, and then of course we have the Preakness coming up on Saturday, which doesn't draw near the attention that the Kentucky Derby does. There is now the buzz with a little bit more added excitement, because you do have Mystic Dan going and making an attempt to win the second leg of the Triple Crown, thus making him eligible to complete this phenomenal accomplishment, very rarely done. We've had a couple of recent Triple Crown winners, but it was a long time in between.
Yes, a long time.
Long time in between. It was kind of like the home run record of 61 with Roger Maris.
Yep.
Long time in between Ruth and Maris, and then, of course, Maris and a very fugazi attack on that record with Mark McGuire. And then we had Aaron Judge make more viable. Judge on the juice, what do you think? He's a little fragile here and there. Judge, is he on the juice? He's a giant of a man. Seems like the last guy that you would suspect of being using illegal drugs to get where he is today. But what do you think, Louis? Judge on the juice.
Judge is reminiscent of a Griffey or a Pujols or an A-Rod, that these big dudes that they're not insanely jacked. They've been big their whole career, so it makes you think that it's natural, but then they get hurt a lot. And the getting hurt a lot thing on simple stuff is what derailed Griffey's career, and it's why most people feel like, okay, he must have been on it.
Giancarlo Stanton, what do you think?
Stanton, I don't know. Stanton and Judge are very similar because they're big dudes that were always big, power guys who are hurt a lot. And it's
he blows his nose and tears his ACL. I mean, when you're that fragile.
That's a symptom of steroids. So
Tiger Woods. I mean, look how fragile Tiger was for a golfer to have that many injuries, knees, ankles. Well, what do you think? You think Dr. Galea was paying house calls to him so he could, just take his temperature? I don't think so.
I mean, people don't seem to talk about that anymore because they test and because it's illegal now. People, if they get away with it, they get away with it. I think everyone's on something because, like, why wouldn't you be if you can make hundreds of millions of dollars? Like, it's worth the risk to me. I mean,
yeah, I would think, look, it worked for Tiger Woods. The guy will never be starving. That's for sure. In fact, I think Jake Paul is going to fight Tiger Woods after he. Does Jake Paul beat Mike Tyson, a 57-year-old Mike Tyson?
Probably does.
How could he not? I mean, what do you think?
Like, my head and heart both tell me it's Tyson, right? Because the videos, it's like with you with that Muhammad Ali fight. What was it, Holmes? Where
Holmes Ali, that was unbelievable.
He looked great, and you're a boxing guy. You're like, I don't give a shit how good he looks, and fucking. It's like my dad texts me, "Oh, this guy from Penn State looks great." I'm like, Dad, it's not even OTAs, it's rookie. Like, I don't give a fuck what he does in rookie. He can fucking pick up the offensive lineman and body slam him. And I go, I don't give a shit. Like, Tyson looks great in these fucking workouts, and he's like, he's never lost a step, and it's like he's 57. I don't give a fuck what he looks like punching.
He's lost a lot of steps.
Like
He was getting knocked out by. I mean, think about that. He got knocked out by Kevin McBride. Who the fuck was Kevin McBride at the time?
No idea.
I mean, Tyson was more than washed up. A couple of these Michael Williams beat him up when he tore his ACL. I mean, at least he had an excuse in that one. He probably would have destroyed this guy. But, to come back then and lose to Kevin McBride, that would have been like Peter McNeely beating him when he got out of jail. You're thinking this is impossible. And that was in 2005, Lubie. I don't think you get better with time.
No, you don't. And what's funny is as much as we can't stand the Pauls because they've made a travesty of all this, supposedly boxing people will tell you at least Jake takes it actually very seriously. He actually really trained.
I'll give him this. For a guy who wasn't a boxer,
he
has some boxing moves. He really does.
He wants to be a boxer. I don't know what it does for me. It's still, I think it's a joke. But
he would get knocked out by any top pro in his weight class. I mean, not even a top pro, but I mean, anybody from mediocre to, that was a professionally trained boxer would beat the shit out of Jake Paul. There'd be no question about that. But Mike, there's a huge curiosity factor, though, isn't there, Lubie? Is that what the world has come to?
100%. The Paul fights do amazing. I mean, and again, they're all bullshit. Even the guy, Nagano was a former MMA guy himself, right? That he was becoming a boxer he wasn't boxing, whatever the fuck he does. I don't care about them.
Well, and he was in there. People thought he beat Tyson Fury, which I don't know where Tyson Fury's at these days, although I think he's fighting Saturday night in a heavyweight unification bout against this guy, Usyk, who hates him, but we'll see. And I became a Tyson Fury fan. I mean, was that not one of the more enjoyable interviews we ever did with anybody?
Great. It was really good.
When we had Tyson Fury on before we had the rematch with Deontay Wilder, and I mean, he couldn't have laid it out any better. That was one of the most insightful comments we've ever got from any athlete or manager or coach before an event took place, where they outlined their strategy completely and then went out and did it. Exactly. I mean, he was talking about why he changed trainers, and sure enough, he told us he was going to go in and get heavier and knock this guy out, Deontay Wilder. And what did he do?
And he did it.
He went in there and knocked him out.
Yeah, he did it. It was fucking
no
cool.
running, no defense, just went in there and knocked the guy out. So that was great. So I'm a fan, but I don't know what he's got left in the tank here. He fights Usyk. And then that Nagano guy went on and he fought somebody else. I forget who it was after he looked great against Tyson Fury and got the shit beat out.
Didn't he lose to a Paul? Wasn't that? Didn't he lose to one of the Pauls or something? I don't know.
I don't think he lost to one of the Paul. Well, the other Paul doesn't fight.
Okay.
It's just Jake Paul, who has kind of eclipsed any popularity that his brother had. Who I think his brother was the more popular one in terms of the YouTube influencer stuff. So we shall see. But anyway, that's all going on. It's all part of the sporting world as circus, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm curious. I don't know what happens in the PGA tournament and where do you put the live guys. But you're saying Brooks Koepka would be your choice over Rory McIlroy and Jon Rahm.
Yeah.
You're forced to pick one of the three. And I would imagine there's a prop bet on who finishes higher. Can you create any kind of a bet that you want? And just, say, hey, I want to bet that Koepka beats these two guys.
Well, that's what Andy, because I can't find odds for this. So I don't know. But in this day and age, why isn't there odds for everything? Like, to me, the bet would be Tiger making the cut. I feel like he probably won't, but
almost everybody, I would think, would be on it and saying, yeah, he's going to do it. They want Tiger Woods to do well.
But that's a smarter bet than Tiger to win it. Look,
Tiger to win it is impossible.
I just think it's dumb. I just don't think he has it. I don't know if he can go 4 rounds, but he can make a cut, right? So like that would be to me the bet I would do if you want Tiger related, but I can't find that bet. So I don't like, you would think that exists. Like, why wouldn't that, with all the outlets we have nowadays, why wouldn't you be able to just, they bet on every fucking player over.
I can't imagine that there isn't a prop bet on Tiger making a cut. I think there is on virtually every guy, no?
You would think. I haven't seen you. I mean,
check with our fine sponsors on Bet Online.
Honestly, I may actually have Leslie do that.
Yeah, I mean, they have the latest odds, stats, everything that you possibly need. Right? I've been reading this ad here for like 2 months, even though we found out we're getting stiffed on the giant numerology we're producing. What a deflating thing that was, Lubie. I thought we were out. I really thought, you know what? After all this time, we connected, that even Lubie's going to be surprised.
It wasn't a no. It's just annoying that there's always a cat. There's always a
catch.
Well.
How was your Mayo lunchbox experience yesterday? I'm sorry
It
I
was
missed
good.
it.
Renzo's
It looked like it's good. I saw a couple of the clips there. I happened to be thumbing around, and there you guys were.
This guy was right out of your degenerate book. So the guy, he's
He's a
old
big
school.
gambler too. Nice.
It's not the gambler part, but the way he got to being who he is.
Yeah.
And it's up there. So I'm not telling anything that he didn't say on the show, but
Yeah.
it was interesting because he's literally been Gordon Ramsay's come into his place and said this is the best pizza he's ever had. Gordon Ramsay.
Oh yeah, wow, Ramsay.
Yes. So that's
where in relation to these other Boca restaurants is he? Is he on Federal Highway?
It's on Federal.
Okay.
And
the name of the place was Renzo's?
It's Yamato. Then you go.
It's up there then. Okay.
Yeah, it's a little north, but it wasn't so bad. But what's interesting is he didn't come from a cooking family. He's from Sicily, yet his mom sucked at cooking. He opened said, my mom sucked at cooking. My sisters made fun of her for sucking at cooking. And it's in Sicily. Like every woman you thought of couldn't cook in Sicily.
I think that would be a standard, that everybody has to be able to cook there.
He was a hairdresser in Sicily.
Wow.
Came over here, was still a hairdresser in New York. And this dude he knew was a Jewish guy, real estate developer, and dealt with a lot of different pizzerias for some reason. And this guy, he was around them, and the guy was like, do you want to go in on a pizzeria to Renzo? And he's like, okay, fuck it, fine. And then the guy, it was like Good Friday or in the middle of Lent, the Fridays and Lent are big for Catholics. So the guy is like, I can't cook. And he had never cooked. Never.
Never.
And he was like, the guy was like, can you cook? And he's like, sure. So he pulled it out of his ass.
That's the way to do it.
It became like his thing. His pizzas are now like Gordon Ramsay literally was down here a few years ago doing business somewhere in Boca and at this place every day. And every day they had fucking Renzo's. And he's like, where is this food from? And the guy was like, Renzo's. And he's like, I have to meet this Renzo. He goes in with his entourage, eats their pizza, and literally does a whole, he's on a podcast doing like a national interview. And he's like, yeah, I was just at this place, Renzo's. It's the best pizza I've ever had. So it's just funny that this guy seems like a man after your own heart, where he literally bullshitted his way into doing restaurants. And now 50 years later is like one of the big restaurateurs in the Boca area.
Of course, I've edited a newspaper before.
Exactly.
I know exactly what I'm doing. Watch this. So how was it? I mean, did you try the pizza? I would imagine you would have had to.
Pizza was great. We had some piccata. They do wings. They do really nice wings.
Oh, good. Okay.
With a kick. Darrencini was nice. They do a good job, and it's a cool place because the front of it's like an old school pizzeria.
Okay.
Like they're yelling, hey, and then in the back is like a hall it's like a nice restaurant, and they also do events there.
Sounds good to me. I mean, that was great. So where are you heading today?
Today we're at Miso, the one that Mayo's talked about a million times that neither of us is, of course, eating at. Miso Japanese Tapas. The guy who started Fat Boy Sushi.
Where's that at?
That's a great question. I have no fucking clue. Somewhere in Fort Lauderdale. I think it's in Fort Lauderdale somewhere.
Okay.
It's like a Fort Lauderdale thing.
Yeah.
But the guy that was a part of starting Fat Boy Sushi, which is huge all over South Florida now.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. Is that any good? I mean, what do people think?
I think it's great. Even people I've talked, I haven't had it, but Shirley loves it. And a lot of people.
There's one right next to the medical marijuana dispensary we go to.
That's perfect.
I would imagine they do very well. Hey, you want to get something to eat? Yeah, look at that. Right there. Imagine having that location and all of a sudden out of nowhere, you're doing nothing, man. You're ready to close the doors there. You can't even draw flies into the place. And they open up a medical marijuana distribution dispensary place right next door to you. And now you're jammed every day. From breakfast on. They're serving sushi for breakfast there. It's incredible. I think the marijuana place opens at 7. They're open at 7:15. Fat Boy, Phat, boy, sushi.
Yes,
I haven't heard Mayo talk about Fat Boy Sushi. So these guys, they branched off from there, or they're
Twan left. The one guy stayed, and Twan. That's why he doesn't talk about him, because he's friends with Twan. And Twan has started this Miso Japanese Tapas, and Twan's also really cool with Reno, and they did a fusion thing where they did Italian and.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So we're gonna be there for the first time, thanks to Visit Lauderdale Food and Wine Festival, as they have 954 Burger Month. So I don't know what that has to do with a tapas place, but Mayo's great at combining worlds. So we'll be there today. So I'm excited about that.
Oh, cool.
Hopefully we'll find you back tomorrow. We'll be at Delaware, a place
I'm going to make my way over there. I'm supposed to pick up this brace today. They actually did finally give it the thumbs up. So I'll see how that goes. I am thinking it'll be a lot harder to get around with that thing, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm ready to go kick field goals. I mean, I'm feeling
I
no
know.
pain in that spot.
I know.
So hopefully I'll find out. Maybe next Monday I'll get some good news from these guys, and they say, "Hey, what a remarkable healer you are! This normally takes 3 months."
Yeah, I'm sure that's what's gonna
happen. I hate following the regiment. I mean, and people are, don't even get up, don't get out of bed, don't move. It's impossible, right? All right, we got to run. I don't know if we accomplished anything of any great significance today, except examining the under in the Sun Fever game.
Yes.
We're not sure which way the Mike Tyson fight is going to go, but we know we're going to be able to see it because we both have Netflix. You have the Knicks Pacers tonight. I mean, I used to be a big Knicks fan, but I just want to see the Knicks lose tonight. I really do.
Well, they've been obnoxious.
And there's no reason really to embrace the Pacers. Indiana's a sucky place to go. Indianapolis was one of second, maybe only to Minnesota and New York.
Sucks.
Third, I guess it would be, to having Super Bowls, on that in that area. And there was nothing to do there, man. We ended up at White Castle after we got thrown out of the St. Elmo's.
There's
replaced on our table by Jim Gray. Took our reservation.
Minnesota, at least, even in the snow, we found some semblance of stuff. It's still, I wouldn't ever go back. Indianapolis, and that's the city. There was nothing. That was a fucking.
Did Jim Gray do any of the roasting of Tom Brady? I didn't see. I think he was there. He was close with Brady, right? Because he did that radio show. Yep. That meaningless radio show that Tom Brady was on, where he spewed nothing but cliches, and everybody thought, "Whoa, that's some deep shit there." We have a good team. They have a good team. If two good teams get together, it's going to be a good game. Thank you, Tom. All right. We'll find out just how, how forthright Tom Brady is about football. Is he really going to be in a booth? Anything replacing Greg Olson to me is a plus, even though a lot of people love Olson. I find them unbearable. But and I like the guy. I mean, personally, he happens to be a good guy. He was a Hurricane. We got to know him a little bit. Seemed like a wonderful person. I was very proud of his meteoric rise in the media. But then he got the spot there, and you thought, my God, this guy's terminal.
I think Romo ruined it because he did a lot. He tried to do a lot of Romo stuff where he just wouldn't shut the fuck up, and it's like you don't have to do that.
It's like enough already.
I actually liked Wilson, but then he got to a point where he wouldn't shut the fuck up, and it's like
every 2-yard plunge is not the most significant play in the history of the National Football League. I think color analysts need to realize that. May need no commentary whatsoever once in a while. How about just laying out there, kid? All right, we got to run. A lot of fun being with you. So you'll be somewhere. You don't know where it is later on today, but you'll be eating some Asian fusion food. Oh, really? In that area?
By heritage is what Mayo's saying. It's by heritage.
All right, and I'll connect with you guys one way or another at the Delaware Chicken Fire tomorrow.
Yes,
because that's always a treat, man. This Gene, I mean, it really is like going to some of the finer restaurants. The way that they put things together there, and they'll cook the stuff for you. That's something I haven't really got a grip on in terms of being able to take advantage of. Because wouldn't it be great to just walk in there and they got a bunch of food prepared for you?
They will.
That's home. You don't have to do shit. That'd be awesome.
Great. Yep, high quality stuff. Yep.
All right, Louie, I will catch up with you, and thanks so much as always. Thanks, people, for tuning in. We'll see you later on as we leave you know that.
The time.
It's 9:04.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.